Alright, I want to trace the presidents in cell E14. I'll go over here to data. Now I go to formulas. I go to trace presidents. Click it a couple times. It traces exactly, what makes this number this number. It tells me all the errors. If this one was the error, so if I click on this, it'll tell me exactly where I need to go look. I need to go look at costs in D5 and costs in D6. So I just come over here, look at costs, D5 and D6, and I compare it with my production plan, and I make the correct changes that I need to make. I can hit remove all arrows to take all the arrows away. I can come back over here to D8, which there were also corrections. I can come in here to trace dependents, and it'll tell me where all what's dependent on this formula right here, and I can go and I can look to see where the errors are and correct them. And when I'm done with this, I can come back and just hit remove arrows. Alright, I can come back down here to E18. I can trace the presidents to where they were. And to correct any errors I need to correct, I could always go to error checking. But all the errors are complete, and I can go in there and I can fix it, and it'll tell me exactly where the error is. And I can go in there and make the correct changes to make my formulas work. And again, I always come over here and remove arrows when I'm done. If I want to I can do remove president arrows and keep the dependent arrows. It depends on which one I want for which formula I'm doing. Now to do validation rules, all I have to do is I click on data. I come down here to data validation, and I can input anything I want to. Like with these ones, I did number of small containers. I entered the number of small containers to produce on this machine. The number must be a whole number that is greater than or equal to 0. So it means I can't come in here. I have to have a whole number that is greater than 0. I can't put in negative numbers, and I can't put in any fractions or decimal type numbers. And also I can come in here and do settings. I can change it to greater than equal and make the minimum 0. So that gives me my whole parameters. And I can input the message that tells me exactly what the parameters are. So if I do input data that's incorrect, I can just read the message and I know exactly what I need to fix. And then if I do have some invalid data in here, like this one was a -60, I can come up here. I can do circle invalid data, and it puts a red circle around the data that's incorrect, which is very useful if I have, hundreds of rows. I don't have to look for the wrong answer. I can just look for the red circle. And when I'm done and I make the corrections and stuff that I need to, I can always come back here and do clear validation circles, which removes the circles. And then the goal seek is under the what if analysis. I click here, I go to goal seek. I can select the range of cells I want, and I can select what I want the value to be, and I can select what I want to change. And that'll allow me to set goals for myself if I have a company and I want to get my hours down to or up to 16, or my wages or my containers down, or I need my numbers up. I can change that as my goal, and I can see what numbers I have to change in order to reach that goal. Alright, I can use a solver to actually solve for the goal and stuff I want. I come in here, I click solver. I tell them what I want. By changing which cells, I can click add, and I can add any type of equation and stuff I want to. And I get all the information I need and want solved. Come in here and I click solve, and it solves the problem for me. And it puts everything in a nice little neat production plan like this, and tells me everything that I would want to know, which lets me make important business decisions. I can actually come back here and I can go back to the what if analysis, and I can do scenario manager, and I can actually create my own scenarios. I can click add, and by showing, and I input the information that I want changed, or the scenario that I want, for my business or whatever. I get all that done. I can click show, and it actually shows me it shows me the answers I want. It shows me all the information that I would need. and I can create as many scenarios as need be to make the best decision based on the information for my business. And I can actually make a pivot table based on both of those scenarios. Again, I go to what if analysis, I go to scenario manager, I can do summary, and I can click summary pivot table report, which actually creates its own pivot table. And I can compare the two side by side. And again, just like any pivot table, I can do the field list and I can throw in any information I want and look at and compare the two scenarios side by side. Alright, and to check the workbook and save it, all I gotta do is I come here to save as, do computer. This is where I want to save it. I click Excel 2003. This one's add-in. The other one says workbook, but add-in work the same way. I click save it, and it tells me it already exists and do I want to replace it, but it allows me to make all the changes that I need to make.